Look at this guy. I guess you really know him. The idea of this man by the name of Porfirio Diaz has been painted by the SEP as a dictator and a horrible person. That is not lie. If I ask you who this subject will probably come to mind, this idea. This is 50-50. A story for decades, children were taught as billion, as if it were a story. The story is not so much. The heroes we know are so heroes to us, and the billions we know they are not so billions. Rather is grey. A story that was painted in black and white just as that Mexicans were proud of their heroes and that this guy called president shouted the National Palace every September 15. One of those many lies is the
The history
Porfiriato.
book of the SEP tells you that Porfirio Diaz put the country in the ruins. That is a total lie. Porfirio Diaz did have to make some sacrifice, but for the country it was a great advance. The Porfiriato was born in an era when the people were tired of wars and invasions. Poverty was gigantic and external debt threatened the country. Diaz achieved a breakout in a few years. The railroad arrived in Mexico and the economy was at its best. At a time where the peso had exceeded the US dollar, but there was inequality and the people knew them. Yes, Porfirio Diaz managed to make the country move forward, but those benefits were never for the peasants and the recent factory workers, and if the people who are not happy, they will curb you. Porfirio Diaz escaped only a few days after the start of the revolution. He left for France, escaping from a coup d'etat and from a country that would rarely return to the ruins. It is a sad thing. Diaz dreamed of returning to his beloved Mexico, but he never could. He currently resides in France, and although more than 100 years have passed, the people of Mexico have not forgiven him. Poor Mexico, so far from God, and so close to the United States. Porfirio Diaz.
Did you ever hear the Paz Diaz defended the flag more and the president nor was the Africa of the US government that made him look at the old continent Europe was fought with the America that always put United States as its butcher land.
Diaz have an affinity for European culture, highlighting the French he loved are a dictator. This made following construction be based on this construction. The best example, the Place of Fine Arts. How does some others are the Chapultepec Forest, the postal place.
The relationship between Europe and Mexico caused that the country moved rapidly and the peso to rise. But there were problems. These benefits were not for the poor, and one of hand farmer workers lost their rights, more hours of work and very poor salary. Slavery began to hover again in the country. The same happened with the recent factory workers. The owner of these exploited their workers and they're prone to diseases. The benefits that Porfirio Diaz gave never reached the poorest. The rich lived in large houses and had large parties, while the poor were marginalized with a horrible life, prone to disease and abandoned. Moreover, these were horrible lynched for not following Don Porfirio's ideas. This is a story that really is 50-50. Not everything is a lie, but are some that are true. Dog with bone in the mouth neither bites nor barks. Porfirio Diaz.
It is a bad thing as education is in our current Mexico. We Mexicans have a gigantic suspicion towards Porfirio. The history of Mexico is a lie and a truth at the same time. We are not tired of honoring heroes who are not so much, and we raise our patriotism to the cross. Diaz is considered a dictator, but in comparison to many others, it remains too short. Diaz had a love for his country, but we must understand that we live in Mexico, a country that since its inception has been divided into social classes, culture and idioms. In addition to a president chair that since its inception has started with the left hell, full of lies and corruption. Icons of people have occupied it, some left a worse footprint than others. The questioning here is something similar to how Emiliano Zapata thought. Zapata did know if the president chair corrupted the men, but history has shown it. Porfirio Diaz make a mark as a president for good or bad, and who knows, maybe the chair presidential if this them.